welcome to BC Spirits, episode number 16. I got my intro right this time. There is no fucking up. Oh, I can't say fucking.
You just fucked up.
I just fucked up. Welcome to BC Spirits, episode 16. Yes, 16, right? Yes.
Yes, it's 16.
Welcome to BC Spirits, episode 16. We're back at OLO, or still at OLO, but back at OLO with my good friend and buddy, Wes Bourget, who is the bartender here. If you haven't seen, OLO is a really hardcore farm-to-table restaurant, natural wine, the whole shebang. You got to come down for all BC Spirit cocktails. Really cool place to come. So today we're talking whiskey. Well, Whiskey 101 or Canadian whiskey or Whiskey Part 1, because there's a lot of whiskey in BC. We're going to be looking at 5 Canadian whiskies in the way that they're not single malts, which a lot of distilleries are going for. I have my own opinions about Canadian single malt, but Canadian whiskey is one that has a great presence, and I think it's seen a massive resurgence. Wises and 40 Creek can thank us for that. So these are actually all Canadian whiskies from BC. And when I say Canadian, they're not a single malt, they're all like either the ancient grains, which is crazy grains, or like a rye whiskey. So we'll kick it off. First up,
I was going to say it's really cool to see as many distilleries making Canadian whiskey as they are, considering its troubled history with transparency.
Oh, 100%. And I think the cool thing is that the wait time is 2 years to be classed as a Canadian whiskey, which is a good amount of time. And you can either use the rules of Canadian whiskey for good or evil.
Yeah.
And I think all these ones will use them for good.
Yeah.
Because there's other ones out there that use them for evil. Evil. Like, say, rye whiskey on the label, and they're 100% corn. That is evil use of the rules.
Is that,
Yes.
Can it be 100%? I thought they had to have like at least 5% or something.
Nope.
Rye. Jesus.
No, there is 100% corn whiskies in Canada with rye whiskey on the label. Okay, so...
Good job, Canada.
So with that going, let's start off with the Goodridge and Williams. The Goodridge and Williams Western grains. So they play around with the grains in a way that in different regions. This is all made in Delta, BC, which is a massive, well, used to be a massive farming region. I wouldn't say it's massive now because it's slowly but surely getting...
Sinking.
It is sinking. Delta is the area when you get off the BC ferries and you're driving towards Vancouver. It's all that massive farmland. There's malls in there now, strip malls and everything like that. So what did they say on this one? Bourbon barrel aging gives the blended whiskey notes of new wood. Doesn't say what grains they use, but I'm going to assume that they use mainly rye with a mixture of everything else. This one on the nose straight away, I would class this as a classic Canadian whiskey, like in the same classes of your 40 Creek Barrel Select, your Wises, your Alberta Premium, that little bit of like sweet caramel on the nose, that like very classic entry level Canadian whiskies. See what I mean on the palate? Just enough rye to give you enough spice, but there's a lot of complexity from all the other grains in there.
Yeah, that's cool. The
sweet, big mouthfeel.
Yeah, I felt the nose was a little muted, but then once you actually
get in there,
it's got a lot of complexity.
That bourbon cask comes through hard. That fucking bourbon vanilla.
Yep.
Just intense. The next one, which you can tell I've enjoyed this one a little bit, probably too much at home. When I do get a chance to drink, which is bourbon barrel aged. It's bourbon barrel aged as well. But this is a mash of winter wheat and malted barley.
So it's finished in French oak as well.
Is it finished in French oak? Oh, it is. Good catch on that one, bud. Minimum of 3 years in American oak bourbon, and then finished in French oak from BC's Okanagan Valley. So you're getting a little bit of. I'm guessing you're probably going to get a little bit of wine tones on this one.
Hopefully.
Which is probably my favorite style. Shelter Point just put out a Pinot Noir finished single malt.
Is it pink?
No, it's got some good color. It's got color to it, but it's not pink.
You ever see the Andrew Dower?
Yeah, it's just freaking pink. It's like freaking pink. So yeah, the Northern grains. The malted barley and the winter wheat. So there's no rye in this one, but it's not a single malt. It would be classed as a Canadian whiskey.
Yeah, see, that's like right off the nose. That's really interesting. It's kind of like baking spices, and
but you get that distinct wine
Yeah.
Like that distinct wine tone. It is baking spice in a Christmas cake sort of spice to it. That winter wheat and the barley play really nice together. Like the lightness and the fragrance of the winter wheat, and that ballsy freaking that ballsy barley.
That actually tastes kind of like my breakfast, which was an apple fritter.
So, Goodridge Williams, Northern Grains taste like apple fritter. No, it's compared to the different one. You definitely have that the bourbon barrels they're using there are very distinct.
Yeah.
I'd be curious where they're getting it from because it's very distinct as a pull through. But then you finish with that really nice, like obviously red wine, or maybe it's just the French oak coming through that gives you that sense.
Do you know if they have any relations with any American distilleries, or are they?
I'm not sure, but like usually it's just they just go into the bourbon barrels just go into a market and then you just buy from the market.
Right. So they're not owned by any parent company or anything.
No. These guys are awesome. I love the guys from Goodridge Williams. They do so many crazy things.
Yeah.
But next up, one of my favorite distilleries. I don't like to have favorites, but Gord and Miriam are just such nice people. Yeah. Like, did they come in the other night when they were in town?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They're
just really sweet people.
Yeah.
This is their Prospector, their rye whiskey that they just put out probably, I'm going to say 6 to 12 months ago. Not too long ago. But they're 100% BC rye, which is just full on like Canadian. They also
one of the things that I find really interesting about this one though is that it's 100% rye, but it's aged in new charred American oak, so it's got sort of this
that
like
full on
bourbon nose to it, but then it's got that cool backbone of rye spice.
46%, which the first two were 40. If you want to hear some crazy stuff that Gord does at the distillery, please listen to the podcast on Post Shift Podcast. He talks about instead of smoking all the malt, he has a basket in the distillation process that passes through peated malt.
Cool.
So the malt in the mash is not peated, but then he has a basket that the distiller pulls through this peated whiskey. And so he was just saying to me the other day when I caught up with him that they're doing a Gary Oak smoked malt.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is that allowed? Can you cut those down?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They're a pain in the ass. You can't turn them into barrels, but he's like he got a whole bunch of chips and he's smoking the malt on Gary Oak.
Wow.
Which is just crazy. Oh my god.
See that nose though?
Oh yeah. That nose is like what you would get from an overproof American rye.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you get like spice and cherries and wood.
Oh my god.
I just put a Remember the Maine on the menu with this.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what? Remember the Maine rye
whiskey, sweet vermouth. We're using the Marrow sweet vermouth from Okanagan, which is unbelievably good. House-made cherry liqueur and absinthe. Sweet. Yeah.
Done. Yeah. Come down for one of those. Well, if you watch this episode, by the time you probably come down, it's probably going off the menu, but you'll be able to make it again. That is just that's Canadiana right there.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing I've tasted in BC, close to like some of the crazy stuff that Dr. Don does from Wise's. For sure. See, how can you spit that? I don't understand.
Because I'm technically not even awake yet. Oh no, I'm waking up. I'm waking up right now.
Wait a second. No, you're not. You're waking up in like 2 hours. Don't fucking lie to the viewers.
I wake up at 11. Sometimes 10:45.
Oh, 1 o'clock. Okay, so the next whiskey's a fun one because Shelter Point's known for single malts. They do epic single malts. They're winning a ton of awards for their single malts.
Yeah.
But what I love about this is always their whiskey tasting. And it is the artisanal cask strength. And now, when I was at this whiskey tasting, these single malt nerds were just going batshit crazy for it. Like, oh my god, cask strength single malt, da-da-da-da. Without realizing that this is their single malt blended with some cask strength rye whiskey.
Right.
So they're like raving about it, then all of a sudden it's like, well, it's not actually a cask strength single malt.
It's not single malt.
It is a cask strength rye whiskey blended with their single malt. And as you can see, I had a full bottle of this. It's always the downside when you start like collecting stuff to do tastings later on. Then you realize, oh crap, I really enjoyed this, and I drank half of it while I was watching movies in my basement. So yeah, the Shelter Point cask strength whiskey. I quite like this a lot. And what they've been doing up in Parksville, they've been growing their own grains now. They're really doing a lot of farm to table sort of stuff.
Is it Parksville? Is it Campbell River?
Campbell River, sorry, yes, Campbell River. Parksville, I've gone to Courtney, and then Campbell River's a little bit further up. Yeah. So they're growing a lot of their own grain. They're doing the Monteforts. You've got on the back bar here the lot there.
Lot 41.
Yep. Yeah. They grew the grain on the property and then harvested it and made this. And grain's funny because it's not like grapes where things have to mature and stuff. It's like you plant grain, it grows, and away you go. And they won a ton of innovation awards for that one last year.
They won gold medal at the Canadian Whiskey Awards for innovation.
Yeah.
For growing all their own barley, which is great because it's an expression of terroir.
And if you follow their Instagram, please go check out Shelter Point on their Instagram. They're always posting pictures of when they're planting and stuff. They just released a gin, which I'm really looking forward to tasting. And it's
we have their Sunshine, which I really like.
Their Sunshine's delightful, but their gin, they're actually starting to grow their own juniper.
Great.
On the island here,
Great.
Their own juniper for the gin.
All distilleries should do this.
It's a pain in the ass. Juniper's not easy to grow. What do you think of this one? I love this little number. Their single malt's already on point. Their single malt's already fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty spectacular.
But then you throw in that layer of freaking like cask strength Canadian rye.
Yeah.
And it just gives an absolutely fantastic mouthfeel and texture. I really, really enjoy this one. As you can tell from the 2/3 of the bottle that are already gone.
I feel like that's every bottle.
Well, no, that's yours. These two are third gone. That's yours, so that's not me. That one I have forced myself not to finish the bottle because I'm like, okay, well I can't do this. I shouldn't do this. But please try and find the Shelter Point. They have about 5 or 6 expressions out right now. Every single one is on money, on point. The next one...
Would it be bad of me to express a bias?
Knock yourself out.
I think that this is the best single malt coming out of BC right now.
Well, it's not really a single malt though. It's
well,
Canadian
this one maybe not specifically, but I think Shelter Point is making the best single malt.
Well, they took their time. They've taken their time. They've waited. They've waited. They really put some solid age on their whiskies before they released it, which is always the hard thing. And I get it. Like liquid in the barrel, it's costing money.
Yep.
From the get go, it's costing money, and so people try and rush it and put it out. And the problem with that is that it's a double-edged sword. You get a double-edged sword of like, I need to get it out, and people go, well, BC single malts suck. Sorry. Or they go, okay, well, this is good. These guys, I think, are the only ones that have also cracked the single malt market that people are actually chasing Shelter Point.
Yeah.
Which is a hard market to do. I think what OLO Society done, and like the guys at Goodridge Williams and Lauren McKinnon have all done like some really cool stuff to put themselves in a niche.
Yep.
Shelter Point is going to be the next big one for me.
Yeah.
The next one is not a single malt. It is freaking crazy as hell. If you ever go Google Ken Winchester and just see the stuff that he does. DeVine Vineyards and Spirits up in Xanich here. My wife always says I say Xanich wrong.
Xanich.
How do you say it?
Sounds like you're saying Xanax.
How do you say Xanich?
Xanich.
Xanich.
With an S.
Xanich. I'm saying Xanich with an S. Xanich.
You're saying Xanich.
Okay, so they're ancient grains. So what do you remember?
Spelt, emmer, einkorn, corazon, and barley.
So all these crazy ancient grains they fermented. Ken Winchester is probably he's up there with one of the most eccentric distillers in the province, if not in Canada, doing crazy stuff with ancient grains. And seeing, I know that the guys in the US have done like quinoa distillate and stuff like that. Quinoa, yeah. So, but you get a bowl of the ancient grains. If you get a chance, I'm not sure if they've got any left, but Strath in downtown Victoria has bottles of cask strength ancient grains.
Sure.
And cask strength.
I mean, heck.
And cask strength. They did a corn whiskey as well.
Yep, I saw that.
Yep, cask strength corn whiskey from the Strath. So get a bottle for sure. So this one is not really sitting as a Canadian whiskey. It's not really sitting as single malt. It sits in a weird little like alternate universe of whiskey.
I think also, I'm not 100% on this, but I don't think they call it a whiskey.
No. It is aged, I think, close for 2 years. But it's one of those like rock and a hard place situations where you're not really a Canadian whiskey, but you're not really a single malt. Like, where do you sit?
Yeah.
I still think the barrels they use are much smaller. The barrels they use are tiny, like the sort of Woodenville ones that you have up there, like 30-liter barrels. And so the aging process and the contact surface to area ratio is much higher. But they do put out a lot of great products, killing in awards and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't know what these ancient grains. What is it spelled?
Spelled emmer, einkorn, corazon, and barley.
Nobody knows what those taste like. So it's a very specific flavor profile when they do it. And I think they mash all together. So they mash it all together, they distill it all together, and then they barrel age it.
Yeah, so even on the nose, it's just it's so unique.
Yeah, and you get the American oak straight away. That sort of very chewy, matchsticky sort of feel to it. Honestly, if you have some douchey single malt friends, like honestly, if you have some douchey single malt friends, put a whole bunch of these in a brown bag and blind taste them on it, and you'll be surprised how quickly people change their minds when they're blind tasted on things. Right, that's a tasty little finisher.
Yeah,
it's a tasty little finisher.
It's a beautiful spirit. It doesn't taste like single malt, but it's.
No, but I think flavor profile, the end game is where it's all at.
Yeah.
And
none of these taste like single malt. That's not the point.
But again, like the thing is like you taste. The reason why I love the whole single malt thing is that if you taste some independent bottlers, I've tasted Swiss independent bottlers and Italian independent bottlers.
Yeah.
You start tasting like different
French.
cultures, independent bottlers where they take barrels from Scotch distilleries and bottle them as their own with the name. It's very different how each culture sees the flavor profiles of single malt. So Italian's like a bright cut grass, floral, those sort of things.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you're like tasting these independent bottles and you're like, but this doesn't taste like Bunnahabhain. Like, what the hell? This is not Bunnahabhain. And it changes the mentality you have about whiskey in general. But I think that if you brown bag that and tasted some geeks on it, it would change people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, that's a whiskey tasting and a half. You could have done like double that.
Easy.
I think we need to do I need to collect a whole truckload of BC spirits, brown bag it, and do a long table taping. Taping? Oh, I'm taping right now.
There's no
But
tape in
tasting.
that.
Hey?
There's no tape in that. It's digital.
Oh god. But tasting, yes. Okay, this is episode number 16. BC Whiskies part probably 1. I have learnt my lesson not to include West on these sort of tapings.
Don't include me in anything.
Never again. But I want to thank everybody for the support. I appreciate everything. And go out and get a couple of bottles of BC Whiskey. Blind taste your mates on it. If they say that BC Whiskey's crap, fucking brown bag this shit. And
call Jason and convince him to give us a bottle of Sheringham.
I've got a bottle of that coming. It's for part 2. You'll have to wait and see. I might bring it back in just for that one. Just for that one. You surprise cameo of Wes, like, oh hi, I didn't know you guys were taping here. I'd love a taste of the Red 5 from Sheringham. But enjoy your week, guys. Get some BC spirits in you. Thank you very much. Bye.